We begin with breaking news out of the US, where the longest government shutdown in the country's history has come to an end in the last hour. President Donald Trump signed a bill to fund the government and end the shutdown. The funding bill was brought to the Oval Office for President Trump's signature shortly after being passed by the US House. Before signing the measure, the US president accused Democrats of adopting extortion tactics.
Today we're sending a clear message that we will never give in to extortion, because that's what it was. They tried to extort, the Democrats tried to extort our country. In just a moment, I'll sign a bill exactly like we asked Democrats to send us all along, many days ago. This cost the country $1.5 trillion, this little excursion that they took us on. Republicans never wanted a shutdown and voted 15 times for a clean continuation of funding. There's never been a time when one or the other party ever didn't sign a continuation. It's just a continuation, not a big deal. It's a continuation, and we'll talk later. Yet the extremists in the other party insisted on creating the longest government shutdown in American history, and they did it purely for political reasons.
Lawmakers in the U.S. House approved the measure by 222 to 209 votes, with 6 Democrats joining the Republicans to vote yes. Our reporter, Anna Fagey, was monitoring the vote in Congress.
Yeah, so not in this bill, most notably, is anything about the healthcare subsidies, which is really what Democrats were fighting for in this government shutdown battle. That issue is not addressed whatsoever in this legislation. What is in this legislation is a funding of the government for the next 80 or so days until January 30th, as well as funding for other programs such as SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which feeds some 42 million Americans. That program will be funded through September of 2026. So if we are to see another government shutdown in January, as many of us are expecting we may, that program at the very least will not be impacted. So this is a bureaucracy, so it will take a little bit of time for things to come back to the way that it used to be. But flights that have been, delayed because of the shutdown, we'll see that that impact kind of subside over the next couple of days. Federal workers who have gone without pay will start to receive some paychecks in the next couple of days. And the same thing with the SNAP program that I mentioned, that funding will start to show up. It will be probably a week, maybe longer, before we really see a sense of normalcy return for millions of Americans who have been impacted by this.
There were hours of heated debate in the House in the lead up to the vote. Both sides blamed each other for the 43-day-long shutdown, which left thousands of federal employees working without pay, furloughed, or even laid off.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today in strong opposition to this woefully inadequate spending bill that fails to decisively address the Republican health care crisis and fails to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for tens of millions of Americans.
While the Democrats keep voting to shut their government down, Republicans are going to vote to open it back up. And with that, we're going to get the American government running again and working for the people as they deserve. I'm going to close with this. As Speaker, you have the ability to talk as long as you want, but I'm not going to do that tonight. We're not going to waste any more time of the people.
I spoke to Democratic strategist Marianne Marsh, who said Republicans were the losers from this shutdown.
Well, according to the American people, both in polling and in the election last Tuesday, it's the Republicans who lost. Remember, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, the White House, every branch of government, and the shutdown came on their watch. It's clear Democrats, by fighting for health care, which you just heard Leader Jeffries talk about, made this a referendum. You saw that in the elections last week. Here's the challenge. Yes, the shutdown was 43 days. There are only 80 days left now to try to keep the government open until it could shut down again. By the end of December, tens of millions of people across the United States will lose their health care. Many of them can't afford it now because these tax credits didn't get extended. They were increased by double, triple, quadruple amounts, up to thousands of dollars a month. And then at the end of January, that's when the funding runs out again to keep the government open. So the next 80 days could determine the fate of everybody. And if there's any losers in addition to the Republicans, I would say it's the American people who suffered under this and may never be able to recover from the lost wages, the loss of food, unpaid bills, and as of today, not able to afford their health care premiums again.
Michael Ricci is a Republican strategist and former speechwriter and director of communications to former speakers John Boehner and Paul Ryan. He told me that the Republicans showed a surprising amount of unity.
Well, we saw what in our time is really an unprecedented level of unity among Republicans. It was a blockade that Democrats simply could not break. They couldn't get the Senate to crack. They couldn't get President Trump to crack and even meet with them. And so Republicans, Democrats were able to do something that Republicans had not, you bring Republicans together. And so I think that that's obviously a win for now. Democrats fought here to a level that their base was looking for them to fight. Clearly not enough, as the base is still unsettled. But as you heard there in Hakeem Jeffries' comments, he's trying to set up the next battle and get rally his caucus to keep moving forward and keep fighting. So for Democrats, it's kind of a to be continued moment.